People think Special Forces operations are non-stop action, fast roping from helicopters, breaching doors, firefights, that it's pure intensity. The reality is that war's 90% boredom. For every gunfight you see on the highlight reel, there can be days of sitting around, watching movies, reading books, working out. But you need that, the downtime, the boredom. Because when the 10% arrives, you need to be at 100%, not 80%, not 70%, full capacity. But what most entrepreneurs get wrong is wanting to live in that 10% permanently, the constant intensity. They think that's what elite performance looks like. It's not. That's what burnout looks like. In this video, I'll give you 3 tactics to be a pro when it comes to creating the battle rhythm used by Special Forces for elite performance. The biggest mistake amateurs make is living in the grey zone. Steve House, an elite alpinist and coach, said it perfectly. The biggest problem with most athletes training is that their easy days aren't easy enough and their hard days aren't hard enough. This is the intensity paradox. It applies to athletes, it applies to Special Forces, it applies in business, and it's killing your performance. On paper, you're working, you're giving full effort, but in reality, it's moderate intensity all the time. Your easy days aren't actually easy. You're still pushing, still checking emails, still mentally engaged. Then, when you need to go hard, when it actually matters, you're already depleted. Your nervous system is fried, your decision making is compromised, and your capacity is already drained. So what should be a high quality, high intensity performance becomes mediocre. You're working harder, but performing worse. This shows up everywhere in business and leadership. The founder who never fully disconnects. Evenings, weekends, holidays, you're always half working, responding to messages, thinking about problems. Your brain never gets true downtime. Then Monday arrives and you show up at 70% capacity, tired, reactive, making suboptimal decisions because your prefrontal cortex never got to reset. Or the leader who carries guilt about taking time for themselves because it feels selfish to put yourself first. So you skip the workout, sacrifice sleep, and stay glued to your desk. You think this makes you disciplined. Doesn't. It makes you stressed, reactive, and suboptimal. You show up as the worst version of yourself, unable to think and act strategically because you're stuck in survival mode. It's an amateur way to play the game, and business is an extreme sport. To be successful, you have to be at your best. And the truth is, your output is dependent on your capacity. If you drain that capacity mentally, physically, emotionally, then your 100% effort might only produce 80% of your true potential, then 70%, then 60%, until you hit a wall. You're still working hard, it still feels like 100%, but you're massively underperforming. You're doing more and achieving less. In sports physiology, this is called supercompensation. After hard training, your performance capacity dips. It only improves if you allow time for recovery and adaptation. Without recovery, the body doesn't grow stronger, it breaks down. The same applies to your brain. Mental performance depletes with overuse. When your prefrontal cortex doesn't get to reset, your thinking becomes reactive, impulsive, and error-prone. Decision fatigue sets in, your judgment suffers, and you make mistakes you wouldn't normally make. Professionals understand this. Amateurs ignore it. Amateurs confuse fatigue with progress. They chase exhaustion because it gives a sense of achievement. And they wear their lack of recovery like a badge of honor. Professionals train for results, not feelings. They're confident enough to go easy when needed so that they can go hard when it counts. They understand that downtime isn't a weakness. It's a strategic decision to recharge their capacity. In Special Forces, this is built into the structure. It's called battle rhythm, the deliberate pattern of activity that governs training and operations. Rest isn't optional, it's planned. Because no one, no matter how well trained, can sustain maximal intensity indefinitely. If you live in constant intensity, your nervous system gets stuck in on mode. This leads to lower cognition, less energy, emotional volatility, and eventually burnout. The solution isn't complicated, but most leaders lack it. You need to build your own battle rhythm. This is where the professional separates from the amateur. The pro understands that performance is about performance capacity, not just work ethic. Put these 3 tactics into action and your output will match your effort. Tactic 1, build your recovery playbook. Figure out what activities genuinely restore your capacity. Not what sounds good, not what you should do, what actually works for you. This might be physical. running, lifting, hiking, swimming, yoga. It might be mental, reading, meditation, creative hobbies. It might be social, time with friends, family dinners, conversations that have nothing to do with work. The key is identifying your minimum effective dose. How much do you actually need? For some people, it's 30 minutes of movement a day. For others, it's 2 hard training sessions a week. For some, it's an evening completely disconnected. This works because different recovery activities target different systems. Physical movement reduces cortisol and improves your body's ability to shift from stress to recovery. Social connection activates the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling safety to your brain. And creative activities engage different neural pathways, giving your executive function a break. Write down 5 to 7 activities that genuinely restore you. Rate each one for how much capacity it gives you back. Identify your minimum effective dose for each and use that as your menu. When your capacity is low, just choose from the menu. Tactic 2. Plan recovery like you plan work. Because if it's not planned, it won't happen. You'll always find something more important to do. Your recovery becomes negotiable, and negotiable means it gets dropped. Professionals plan their recovery with the same discipline they plan their work. Training sessions are scheduled. Downtime is blocked. Recovery activities are non-negotiable calendar events. This works because your brain treats scheduled commitments differently than intentions. A calendar block is a commitment. An intention is a wish. When recovery is scheduled, it happens. When it's just aspirational, it doesn't. Treat these blocks like you treat a meeting with your client. You don't cancel, you don't reschedule, you don't negotiate. Tactic 3 is shifting into a recovery mindset. This is the most important one because without the mindset shift, you'll sabotage tactics 1 and 2. Most people see recovery as a luxury they can't afford, something they'll do when things calm down, or time stolen from productive work. This mindset keeps you in the grey zone, and the grey zone keeps you performing like an amateur. The professional mindset is different. Recovery isn't time away from performance, recovery is performance. It's the input that enables the output. Without it, your capacity depletes and your performance degrades. Taking recovery time isn't selfish, it's strategic. When you show up depleted, stressed, and reactive, you're no good to your team, your family, or yourself. When you show up restored, you're a force multiplier. Recovery isn't something you earn through hard work, it's something you require to work hard. Elite operators don't rest because they've earned it, they rest because the mission requires them to be at full capacity when it matters. This works because your behavior follows your beliefs. If you believe recovery is optional, you'll skip it. If you believe recovery is strategic, you'll protect it. Neuroscience backs this up. Beliefs shape perception, which shapes behavior. When you reframe recovery from time off to capacity building, your brain treats it as mission critical. It stops the negotiation. The amateur mindset says, I should work through lunch. The pro mindset knows, I need this break so I can perform better this afternoon. The amateur mindset says, I feel guilty taking time away from my family, from my team. The pro mindset knows taking this time makes me a better leader, parent, and partner. If you're living at constant intensity, you're not performing, you're plateauing. The grey zone feels like effort, but it produces mediocrity. Easy days need to be truly easy. Hard days need to be actually hard. That contrast, that battle rhythm, is what separates professionals from amateurs. Build your playbook, plan your recovery, shift your mindset. These aren't nice to haves, they're non-negotiables. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe to get them delivered to your feed every week. Remember, performance comes from training. Do the reps.